morning. I want to thank all of you for being here this morning. I was accused of not thanking those of you that are present, that it sounded like every year I scold those that are in the audience also, and if that's the way it came through, I didn't mean to do that. You are special. I want to thank all of you for being here today on this special day, especially when we are paying our homage, we're paying our respects to the fallen. And at the same time, we're paying our respects to those that serve our country today. Those are in the military and now and in the past also. Once again, I want to thank you for being here. I say this every year. I say it takes only an hour a year to come and pay our respects for those that have given the ultimate sacrifice for us to be Americans, for us to live in this free country, for us to be able to say, we have a freedom in this country. We have the freedom of speech, and we have the ability to do the things that we do in this country. It's not only because of those of you in the audience and those of our ancestors. It is because of the military that have given their lives, and those that are serving, and as we speak, are protecting the United States of America so we can remain free, we can remain the beacon of freedom, we can remain the country that is the envy of every nation in the world. Every country wants to come to the United States to be citizens in this country, and we should show our thanks at least an hour a year, and you've done that. I want to thank all of you. Thank you very much. Let us start with the invocation. I would like to ask Archbishop Musher Marderosian, prelate of the Western Prelacy of the Armenian Apostolic Church of America, to do the blessing. Would you please stand?
Heavenly Father, on this Memorial Day, we have gathered here in your presence to join the City of Glendale and the Glendale Chamber of Commerce Citizenship and Patriotism Committee in honoring the memory and paying tribute to the brave men and women of the United States military who made the ultimate sacrifice for love of freedom, love of our nation, and love for their fellow men. We thank you for granting us the opportunity to collectively celebrate the remarkable courage and valor our patriots exhibited in defending the values this nation was founded upon, and in doing so, ensuring that future generations inherit the country where freedom reigns. Lord, we ask you to remember our fallen soldiers who fought valiantly and gave their lives to provide a better life for all of us here today. We entreat you, O merciful Lord, to receive their souls in your heavenly abode and to grant them eternal rest. We beseech you to safeguard the members of our armed forces who continue to serve in the spirit of their fallen comrades with dignity and honor in defense of our country. Bless all those who have come here today to honor the memory of our national heroes, to express their undying gratitude for their noble service, and to vow to never forget the price they paid for this great nation. We pray for the peoples of the world to work together in unity and harmony, to create a place where hope and peace prevail, and where all of humanity can enjoy the same freedoms as the citizens of this blessed land. Amen.
Thank you very much, Archbishop Musher Marderosian. Ladies and gentlemen, if you remain standing, I guess, if you don't mind. By the way, I forgot to tell you who I am. My name is Larry Zarian. I'm very honored to be your Master of Ceremonies for the day. I've been doing this every year, and I'm very honored to be here. And now for the presentation of colors, Staff Sergeant Carvel Gay, California National Guard retired, California State Military Reserve, and there's so much more about him. He's a county commissioner, and we are very happy that he is here every year. Sergeant Gay.
Thank you, Larry. Ladies and gentlemen, we're honored this morning to have a color guard to present our colors from Burbank, the 1st Battalion of the 144th Field Artillery. California Army National Guard, and we have members of that color guard that have recently come home from Iraq and Afghanistan. It's my privilege to please have you all stand, and for you that have hats on other than military, show respect to our flag and our country. Color Guard, will you please present the colors?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, and now for the national anthem, Crescenta Valley High School choir students. Don't they look magnificent? Thank you very much, Crescenta Valley choir students. They're wonderful. These young ladies come every year. They could be out there doing something with their families, but they volunteer to come and sing the national anthem, and we want to thank you.
Color Guard, post the colors. Retire the detail. Color Guard. Ho!
And now, it is my great honor to introduce our keynote speaker. Our keynote speaker this year is Colonel James D. McGinley, a law partner who has put his practice aside each time our nation has called Colonel James D. McGinley and has been a Glendale resident since 1992, and an officer in the United States Marine Corps since 1981. He is currently preparing for a second tour in Iraq. Colonel McGinley was commanding officer of the 1st Marine Reserve Helicopter Squadron to be called to active duty in support of Operation Enduring Freedom after September the 11th, 2001. Following a successful command, he served on the staff of Joint Chief of Staff at the Pentagon handling reserve mobilization issues. While stationed in Ramadi, the worst of the insurgent strongholds, during 2006 and 2007, he regularly traveled into harm's way throughout the Al-Anbar province. Colonel McGinley worked directly with Governor Alawani and his cabinet to create the province's first emergency response center and disaster relief agency, and trained the Iraqis to handle it for themselves. Although a naval aviator for most of his military career, his assignment made solid use of his legal background, including his deposition and mediation skills to negotiate and coordinate with the Iraqi Army, police, and highway patrol. Colonel McGinley remains on active duty and is representing the reserves for the Marine Corps Strategic Vision Group in Quantico, Virginia. He has recently volunteered, he's been there, he has recently volunteered to return to Baghdad for a one-year tour, where he will serve as Deputy Commander for the Iraqi Advisory Group, which leads our nation's transition training team efforts in Iraq. Sitting next to our keynote speaker is his wonderful wife, Mary Beth, who happens to be a member of the Board of Directors of the National Endowment for the Arts, confirmed by the Senate. A wonderful couple. Can you imagine a wife saying goodbye to her husband for 1 year? And many of you have done this, and you know someone that has done that. As a matter of fact, once Colonel McGinley gets done speaking, she's going to rush him to the airport, put him on the plane so he can go to Florida, and after serving for a month, I think, in Florida, he's going to go to Iraq. Ladies and gentlemen, a good friend, a person that I truly admire. He could be practicing law, making a lot of money. Instead, he said to himself and his family and this country, I'm going to go serve my country. That comes first. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel James D. McGinley.
Well, good morning. It's great to see everybody here, and Larry's right. Within a matter of hours, I'll be on my way through Central Command on to Baghdad. But I will take with me the memories of seeing so many Glendale residents and a few that came down from Ventura for me. The support of the community here is so important to the military as they're deployed forward. And I bring their thanks for the fact that you would interrupt your weekend this way. It is indeed a great morning, and always Larry gives the kindest introduction, and so I appreciate that very much. You should know that this entire event would never occur, it would not have occurred if it hadn't been for the leadership and the initiative of Larry Zarigan. So a true American, and I'd like to recognize him now. Before we focus on the purpose of today's commemoration, I'd like to take the opportunity to remember our armed forces who are currently deployed in harm's way and think about the fact that they cannot share Memorial Day with their families today the way we can. But they do that for us and for our families. Today, on this Memorial Day, we have gathered to remember those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to this great nation. Unfortunately for many Americans, today is nothing more than another 3-day weekend or the start of a summer vacation. But not for those of you who are assembled here today. Each of you has set aside your personal obligations, put the world on hold to observe what may be our country's greatest day. Remember, without the dedication, sacrifice, and the blood of patriots, we could not celebrate our independence or govern ourselves as a sovereign nation. This day of remembrance began after the Civil War and was originally called Decoration Day to pay tribute to the sacrifices of Union soldiers. Over the years, these remembrances became known as Memorial Day, a day set aside specifically to remember all of those who had died defending our nation. Who are these patriots who have lost their lives in defending our freedoms? What type of people press boldly into harm's way so that we can sleep safely at night? Simply put, they are warriors. Warriors are America's guardians. They stand ready across the globe to defend the peace and tranquility enjoyed in this fragile experiment we call democracy. While entire continents have suffered the tyranny of dictatorships, fascism, and communism, Americans have been cradled in the fullness of liberty. This can only be possible because in each generation, warriors have stood watch, joined the battle, and defeated all those who would challenge our precious freedom. Warriors know the fullest extent of the human condition. They experience the height of glory and victory and know the depths of despair in defeat. Their greatest privilege is to be counted among the prized few who believe in something far greater than the sanctity of their own lives, willing to risk everything because nothing less than the destiny of our nation depends on them. They are chosen for their ability to function in the chaos and the horror of war. Their hallmark is determination. More than courage, more than ferocity, it is determination that distinguishes the warrior. When pain, fear, and fatigue challenge the spirit, it is the strength of dogged determination that fortifies the warrior to press the battle. It is these fallen warriors that we remember today and thank for preserving the uniquely precious ideals of American culture: liberty, democracy, freedom, and opportunity. Here in Glendale, we are blessed with a diverse community of citizens, many of whom have reason to cherish these ideals because they have known the human misery of dictatorship, the false promises of socialism, and the hopelessness of communism. About 2 weeks ago, I was walking up Grand Boulevard in uniform during the Taste of Downtown Glendale event. I heard a strongly accented voice call out to me, "God bless America." I looked over to see several men huddled around a sidewalk table, dressed in dark suit coats with faces weathered by age and tribulation. When I asked where they were from, they proudly told me, "Armenia." And I responded with my best, "Barev, inch pesos." And I heard back, "Shadlavam, 2-inch pesos." Broad smiles were across their faces. They wanted me to know how much they appreciated this country, its opportunities, and its liberty. This is the same story that's repeated over here on Brand Boulevard at Porto's Bakery. Cubans who fled the tyranny of dictatorship and imprisonment under Fidel Castro are the most ardent champions of America's liberty and opportunities. They all have relatives who didn't make it out and can tell you about the stark contrast between liberty and enslavement, opportunity and hopelessness, and the dark despair of communism. We should also take this opportunity to remember the individual sacrifice of each family who has lost a loved one in service to our nation. The Marine Corps, by tradition, we tell our families never to fear the telephone. It's the knock at the door, the ramrod straight back of an officer in dress blues, the sullen look on the chaplain's face that will deliver the news even before a single word is spoken. In a miserable instant, a family's life is shattered, and their world will never be the same. The fallen warrior will be personally escorted all the way home. Those who are tasked to keep watch will travel across the nation, standing guard until our brother or sister in arms is finally laid to rest. Those who have served as escorts have heartwarming stories of the nearly 300 passengers on an airplane that remained seated until the most important cargo was unloaded first to speed the final journey home. These same escorts have been filled with pride in the best of America as ordinary citizens stopped everything they were doing to line the streets, holding flags, both big and small, to honor the warrior's return home and his sacrifice for freedom. At the funeral, the remembrance may vary based on military service, custom, or the warrior's calling. There may be a riderless horse with boots facing backwards in the stirrups, or a missing man formation of aircraft overhead. However, each family will know through their sorrow they are dignitaries in the eyes of the nation. Their bodies will shudder with the shock of each volley in a 21-gun salute. This is the same gun salute that's normally reserved to honor our national flag, the chief of state of a foreign nation, a member of a reigning royal family, and the President of the United States. Thereafter, a lone bugler will sound taps. The peaceful, strong notes of the bugle were originally penned in 1862 by Brigadier General Daniel Butterfield to signal lights out, a time to rest. At a time before watches and alarm clocks, the troops would listen for the bugler's call to start and end the day. Over time, the steady notes became an important and solemn part of laying a fallen warrior to rest. One last time, his watch over the freedom of a nation ended, his duty complete. The American flag will be taken from the casket to be folded with military precision into a triangle. The flag, having never been used before, will never be used again. Its one purpose was to honor the fallen and express the grief of a nation. Then on bended knee, two powerful white-gloved hands of a warrior will gently present the flag to a loved one on behalf of a grateful nation. For the families of the fallen, the loss and the emptiness will never go away. Time will move forward, but for them, nothing will ever be the same again. Recently, while on assignment at the Pentagon, I spoke with a young woman in a restaurant who asked me if I was in the military. As we discussed my experiences in Iraq, she slowly revealed that she was German and had married an American soldier who had been stationed in Germany near her hometown. A few years ago, her husband was killed in Iraq by an improvised explosive device and was buried at Arlington Cemetery. Although she still lives in Germany, twice each year, she takes her vacation time to travel to Arlington to visit her husband's grave and to remember. And I think you see the privilege of the missing man formation as it goes by right now. She speaks warmly of the Americans she has met, and she's grateful for their kindness. She is singly impressed by our pride in our country, our patriotism, and our devotion to the ideals of liberty and democracy. But there should be no doubt her heart aches for the soldier that she laid to rest as if it was yesterday. She said, "He was the one true match for my soul, and now he is gone." Her story and her grief remind us of Longfellow's poetic observation: the bravest are the tenderest, the loving are the daring. As Americans, we are all rightfully challenged to be thankful for each day. After all, our liberty and freedoms were bought with the blood of patriots. Each moment that we enjoy is a tribute to their sacrifice and their families' sacrifice so that we can bask in the privileges of citizenship of the greatest nation on earth. May God bless the families of our fallen. May God bless the city of Glendale. And may God bless America. Thank you.
Colonel James D. McGinley. What a great speech. Thank you very much, Colonel McGinley. Folks, do you have any doubt if, when we look at our military and we see leaders like Colonel McGinley, do you have any doubt what a great nation we have, what a great military do we have? Every time you see someone in uniform, walk up to them. You don't have to know them. You don't have to know their names. Just walk up to them and say, thank you for serving our country. Once again, thank you very much, Colonel McGinley. What a message. Thank you. Those of you that have your program in your hand, I did change the order because I wasn't sure when Mrs. McGinley is going to have to run out and go take her husband to the airport. So if you're looking at your program and you say, uh-oh, the Master of Ceremonies missed and he took things, that's why he did this out of order, just in case if they have to leave. And now, for the POW and MIA memorial presentation, let me read a little background on the person that's going to deliver. Master Sergeant Philip M. Avila, a resident of Glendale for 13 years, enlisted in the United States Army on September 1988. Master Sergeant Avila served 6 years on active duty with the 82nd Airborne Division, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and was selected for recruiter duty, serving 2 years with the Honolulu Recruiting Battalion in Hawaii. Master Sergeant Avila enlisted into the California Army National Guard, August of 1996, serving with the 160th Infantry Long Range Surveillance Detachment, Recruiting Assessment Command, and the 746th Combat Sustainment Support Command. Deployments include Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and most recently returned from Afghanistan in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. And there is so much more to Master Sergeant Avila. Rather than do that, I'm very honored to have him come to the lectern and do the POW MIA memorial presentation. Master Sergeant Philip Avila.
Thank you, Mrs. Arian, Mayor Drayden, Colonel McGinley, honored guests, family, and friends. As you arrive for this morning's celebration, you may have noticed a table in front. I am honored to call your attention to its purpose. It is reserved to honor missing loved ones and our missing comrades in arms, we affectionately call brothers. Normally set for 6, this single empty seat represents Americans still missing from each of the 5 services: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and civilians. This honor ceremony symbolizes that they are with us here in spirit. Some here in attendance were very young when they were called into combat. However, all Americans should never forget the brave men and women who answered our nation's call and served the cause for freedom with honor. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and join together for a moment of silent prayer. Thank you. Please be seated as I now explain the meaning of the items on this special table. It is a table of honor to show our everlasting concern for our missing men. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the call to duty. The single red rose displayed in a vase reminds us of the life of each of the missing and the loved ones and friends of these Americans who keep the faith awaiting answers. The vase is tied with a red ribbon, symbol of our continued determination to account for our missing. The slice of lemon on the bread plate is to remind us of the bitter fate of those captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears endured by those missing and their families who seek answers. The Bible represents strength gained through faith to sustain those from our country founded as one nation under God. The glass is inverted to symbolize their inability to share in this morning's toast. The chairs are empty, for they are still missing. Thank you for never forgetting the sacrifices and courage of our missing and the families they have left behind.
Thank you very much, Master Sergeant Philip Avila. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we have a leader in our community, and we call him or her the mayor of the city of Glendale. Let me bring to the lectern the mayor of the city of Glendale, John Draymond.
Good morning. Well, Mr. Zarian, I will not only shock you, but the rest of this audience by being very brief. Memorial Day in Glendale and across this country is a solemn occasion honoring the American soldiers who gave their lives in war. But it is also a hallowed day because the values those servicemen fought to defend form the essence of our country: freedom and the rights of the individual. The United States has never fought a war of conquest. The Revolutionary War, waged to gain freedom from the tyranny of a king. The Civil War was fought to end slavery in this country. The Americans defended liberty in World War II against the murderous collectivism of Nazism. Even the Spanish-American War was fought against the colonialism of the Spanish Empire. The greatest soldiers of American history knew that freedom was sacred. No price paid on its behalf was a sacrifice. George Washington, as commander of the Continental Army, led the way. Despite his years of struggle and the hardships he endured, Washington refused pay for his service. He used his own fortune to help finance the war effort, and when the Revolution was won, took no money from Congress to help with the much-needed rebuilding of his Mount Vernon estate. General Washington recognized that freedom from tyranny was its own reward. His stirring words made clear his reasons for waging the Revolutionary War. He said, "The spirit of freedom beats too high in all of us to submit to slavery." Regular American soldiers have fought and died for this same notion of freedom around the globe. To fully appreciate the virtue of our soldiers, we must remember what freedom means. It means we can choose our own field of studies, our own careers, our own houses of worship, the size of our family, the places of residence. It means we can speak without fear regarding any issue, including governmental policy, choose our values without interference from the state. Freedom is based in the inalienable right of each individual to pursue his own goals, his own personal happiness. This is the principle, the very spirit that our soldiers defend. The meaning of Memorial Day is particularly pressing today when the United States is engaged in a war against fanatics who represent the extreme of intellectual, religious, and political suppression. Freedom is unknown and utterly alien in countries that support terrorists and terrorism. They feel threatened by our most cherished principles and institutions, and so they seek to destroy us. What protects us is our moral courage as a nation and the selfless gift of freedom, which we enjoy because young men and women from neighborhoods across this country have laid down their lives for all of us. And their blood and their lives, spilled and lost in defense of freedom, have not been given in vain. On Memorial Day today, we solemnly and properly honor those heroes who have fought and died in defense of American freedom. I thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mayor John Draymond. It is very difficult to look in the audience and not see a gentleman that used to come here proud of himself, proud of his service to the United States military every year, and he used to have fun and say, you know what, I still fit in my uniform. Tom Bastain, many of you know Tom Bastain. It's hard to look in the audience and not see him. It takes a long, long time and a lot of hard work to put this program together. It just doesn't happen in a week or 2 weeks. It takes months of planning, months of hard work. The Citizenship and Patriotism Committee, the Parks and Recreation Department, the Police Department, the Fire Department, everybody gets involved. I want to take this opportunity to thank the members of the Citizenship and Patriotism Committee. I see some of them standing to my left, and there are some in the audience also, under the leadership of Alice Hamraj Bayan. Let's have you stand up and raise your hand so we can recognize you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Raise your hand. Where's Alice? And now for a few comments, our own Assemblyman, Paul Krikorian.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be with you all again this year, and especially honored to be in the presence of great patriots like Colonel McGinley, Major Vartanyan, and Master Sergeant Avila, who remind us again that on this day more than others, we are the United States of America. And it's such a great honor to be here with them. You know, when I serve all of you in the State Assembly, often we debate over things that may seem trite, and we're divided by petty issues of partisanship. But the one thing that brings us all together, all 80 of us on the floor of the Assembly, when we stand united, is when one of us rises to ask that the Assembly adjourn in the memory of a constituent who has been killed in action in Iraq or Afghanistan. And it happens just about every time that we meet. And during that moment, we stand together in reverence and in sorrow and in tribute to the person who's fallen, in part because at that moment we all realize that that person who was killed, that person who stood and made the ultimate sacrifice for our country, is in fact our brother or our daughter, and made that sacrifice for us as individuals. And I'm reminded every time that I hear one of these requests to adjourn in memory that we also, each of us, are their comrades in arms. Because whether or not we wear the uniform of this country, all of us has an individual obligation to carry on the mission of those who have fallen, because it's a constant mission that is never quite fully achieved. And as we all strive together to create a more perfect union, we are each individually doing our part to achieve the mission that they were set upon, that they set upon. And many of us probably, sometimes worry that as individuals we can't do much for our country. We can't change the direction that our country is going in. We don't matter much as individuals. But, you know, each of those people who made that sacrifice acted as individuals as well. And as we visit a national cemetery and we look across the field of white crosses and white stars of David, and we see the massiveness of that, we forget sometimes that each one of those represents an individual story of heroism. One person who moved forward when the gate of the landing craft fell, like when they hit the beach, like my father did on Okinawa. One person who took the point on the trail outside of Khe Sanh. One person who goes through a doorway in Baghdad today. That one person who wasn't without fear. They weren't superhuman. They were an ordinary human being, an ordinary American who at that moment set aside their fear, set aside their human emotions to serve their country. And we owe it to them to do the same thing, to act as individuals, to pursue that more perfect union, and to make sure that our country fulfills the legacy that it should. Today, we honor those who fell. We honor those whose names are inscribed on this marble. And how can we ever fully honor someone who makes that kind of sacrifice? Well, we do so by coming here today together as a community. We do so by paying tribute to those and respecting those who serve our country in uniform in harm's way today. We do so by making sure that our veterans get every benefit that they're entitled to for the service and the sacrifice they've made for our country. And we do so also by rededicating ourselves to the cause for which they served. So, with that, I thank you all for being here. May God bless those who fell for our country. May God bless those who serve in uniform for us today. May God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Assemblyman Paul Krikorian, thank you. And now we have a treat for you, a treat unlike any other year. And I'm not going to divulge what it is until you hear and see it for yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to introduce to you someone that I've known for many years, a city employee. And you wonder, and after you hear him sing, you'll say to yourself, why are you working for the city of Glendale? Why aren't you out there making records and all that? Ladies and gentlemen, Saif Shahid, an employee of the city of Glendale. Let's welcome him to sing America the Beautiful.
For the fallen and for the ones that are living, and Ray Charles. Oh, beautiful, for heroes prove in liberating strife, who more than serve our country love and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold revive till no less, and every gain divine. You know, when I went to school, I used to sing something like this. Oh, beautiful, small, spacious skies, ever waves of grain for purple mountains, majesty among the fruited rain. No, wait a minute. I'm talking about America, sweet America. May God thy glory find till all success be nobleness from sea to shining sea. I wish someone could help me sing this song. America, I love you, America. May God great. You are a loving boy, cause he are my good. Yes, he did with brotherhood. From sea to shining sea. Well, Lord, Lord, I thank you, Lord. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo. Thank you.
What did I tell you? Thank you very much, Saeed Shahid. What a voice. What a voice. Wow. We have a second treat for you a little bit later. The wreaths come from the American Legion Post 127, Glendale Homeowners Coordinating Council, Verdugo Woodlands Homeowners Association. We thank you. And then, of course, the flowers from Larry Miller from Beverly Ann Flowers. We have a military banner recognition program in the city of Glendale. In order to qualify for this program, the military personnel must currently be serving on active duty in the United States Armed Forces, activated following September the 11th, 2001, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, or Coast Guard, and be deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, or Afghanistan. The military personnel must be a Glendale resident or to have an immediate family member of Glendale resident. Spouse, father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister, grandchild. Residency requirement may be waived if the military personnel are a graduate of Glendale High Schools, and that doesn't mean Glendale High, but all of the Glendale schools. Resident in Glendale High Schools rather, resided in Glendale prior to enlisting in the military or were deployed in the city of Glendale. The Chamber's Citizenship and Patriotism Committee will review all nomination forms and determine if the eligibility requirements are satisfied, and it was sanctioned by the City Council of the City of Glendale. We have a little surprise here. If we can ask the junior ROTC to unveil one of our banners, just to show you what the banner looks like. Can we do that? Oh, the name is Colonel James McGinley. Isn't that great? In the audience, I understand there's a gentleman from the U.S. Marine Corps, grew up in Glendale, attended Mark Keppel, Toll Junior High, and was homeschooled through Sunland Christian School. The person that I'm talking about is Sergeant Tom Herbert. Sergeant Tom Herbert graduated first in class in artillery and stationed in Anbar province, Iraq for 7 months, where he served as an intelligence analyst with an Iraqi interpreter. He recently returned home to his loving family and is currently assigned to Camp Pendleton. Sergeant Herbert's banner flies proudly on Glendale Avenue next to the courthouse. Welcome home, Sergeant Tom Herbert. Thank you for your service. Sergeant Tom Herbert, is he in the, there he is. Is it a requirement to look handsome, to be good looking, to be in the, is that a criteria? I don't understand it. I have not seen a homely looking person in the military. Is that great? Okay. Now, laying of the roses, Crescenta Valley High School, Air Force Junior ROTC. Laying of the Roses, Crescenta Valley High School, Air Force Junior ROTC. We want to thank you very much. Thank you. As I promised you, we have another treat for you. To sing God Bless America, I don't know why she works for the Chamber of Commerce. She should be singing Tisa Atanke Manukian. Let's give her a big hand.
While the storm clouds gather
I will never lie to you. Great voices. Tisa Tonkin Manukian, Chamber from the Chamber of Commerce. And now, I would very much like to have the raising of the flags, Crescenta Valley High School, Air Force Junior ROTC. We've ordered the flyover, and we do this every year for you. And if you believe that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Crescenta Valley High School, Air Force Junior ROTC, raising of the flags. Ladies and gentlemen, and now, a person that has been with us for many, many years, highly respected. We love him. He has been a part of this community, involved in this community. We are going to lose him to another city. It's our loss and their gain. And now for the benediction, Reverend Father Joseph Shea from the Holy Family Catholic Church.
Eternal God, creator of years, of centuries, the Lord of all time, maker of all creation, the master of all history. How shall we speak to you from our smallness and inconsequence, except that you have called us to worship you in spirit and in truth? You have dignified us with loves and loyalties. You have lifted us up with your loving kindnesses. Therefore, we are bold to come before you without groveling, though we sometimes feel that low, and without fear, though we are often anxious. We sing with spirit and pray with courage because you have dignified us. You have redeemed us from the aimlessness of things going meaninglessly well. So God, lift the hearts of all those for whom this memorial holiday is not just a diversion, but a painful memory and a continued deprivation. Bless those whose dear ones have died sacrificing liberty and life for the sake of others' lives and liberty. We remember with compassion all those who have died serving their country in the fury and the fear of combat. And we stand here today in solidarity with that sadness that death always brings. For all of us, one day will come to that time of bereavement and separation, when all the answers we are offered fail the question death asks of each of us. But we believe that you, O Lord, on that day, will provide for us as others have been provided, with those consoling fulfillment of your glorious words. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Amen.
Thank you very much, Father Shea. Thank you. We're sorry that you're going to leave the city of Glendale. We're going to miss you. Ladies and gentlemen, and now for TAPS, Janine Finley, Bugler, Crescenta Valley High School. Thank you very much, Janine Finley, Bugler, Crescenta Valley High School. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony today. The committee, all of us, thank you for being here. We hope you'll join us again next year. We have a great audience here. We are thankful, and you are going to go home feeling good about yourself for having given an hour to an hour and a half for those that are so deserving. The military, those that have given their lives for this country of ours, this great country, and those that are serving in the military, defending you and I, so we can be here giving our praise and our love to this country of ours. I know we are all proud to be Americans. Continue to do that and continue to go out, and when you see someone in the military, shake their hand and say thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks to all of you. Have a great, great day. Thank you.